When I was in school, I wasn't the type of kid that had a huge friend group and was always hanging out with someone. No, I had one friend. The only person I ever talked to and the only one I ever spent time with was my one friend, my best friend, Sarah. Sarah and I were often made fun of, and we didn't really fit in anywhere, so it was only natural that we gravitated towards each other. We had a lot in common, we really cared about each other, and we were often mistaken for being boyfriend and girlfriend, or brother and sister. Halfway through my third year at university, I was arrested under suspicion of her murder. I know what you're probably thinking, but I was proven innocent almost immediately after coming under suspicion. Her actual killer still hasn't been found to this day. Considering that her body was never found, she was thought to be missing. No one knew what happened to her, and her body was never found. The only piece of evidence that exists that proves without a doubt that she was murdered is an old voice message she left me. I didn't know about the voice message until recently. So, up until a few weeks ago, we all still thought that she had run away or she was missing. The day she went missing, I got a text message from her. It wasn't anything special, just a, "Hi, hope your day goes well, can't wait to see you." We had plans to meet up that weekend. However, she went missing days before we even got the chance. I spent the next few months trying to put my life back together. She was my only friend. She meant so much to me. After she went missing, I kind of fell apart. I dropped out of university, went back to my parents' house, and spent the entire time in a depressive episode. It wasn't until months later, when I was starting to put my life back together, that I found the voice message that Sarah had left me the night she went missing. On the day I found it, I had moved back into my apartment my parents had rented for me near the university. No one else had rented the place, so it was basically waiting for me to return. The phone, which was there the 3 years I had been staying there during university, was untouched since the day I left. That was the first thing I checked when I got there early in the morning. I saw the flashing lights, indicating that I had a message. When I pressed it, my entire life was thrown into turmoil once again. At first, there was just silence, and I thought someone had dialed the wrong number. Before I could hang up, I heard screaming. Loud, desperate, and continuous screaming. It was her voice. It was Sarah, screaming at the top of her lungs. I could tell that she was scared and that she needed help. She was crying as well, screaming and crying all at the same time. I just sat there and listened with my heart pounding in my chest. The recording lasted a whole 3 minutes before her last scream was cut out abruptly. The recording continued for a further 7 minutes after that, but there was just static before it was eventually cut off. Of course, I had no idea what to do at this point. I was shocked. I had just heard my best friend being murdered. I was sure of it. Once I overcame my shock, I instantly went to the police. They reopened the investigation after months of her just being missing, but nothing came of it. They didn't find her, they couldn't trace the call, and they still had no further suspects or leads. The case was as cold as it was before I found the recording. The only new piece of information was that she made that call to me on the night she went missing. She was being murdered, and she thought to call me, maybe to ask for help. What was I doing at the time? I was out drinking with some girl I'd met in class earlier that day. I was so hungover the next day that I didn't even think to look at my messages, and after hearing that Sarah had gone missing, my entire life became consumed by trying to find her. I still wonder what would have happened had I actually checked my voicemail. Would it have made a difference? Would we have actually been able to trace the call? Would she still be alive?